I'm Alexa Schwerha with Campus Reform. Today I am joined by Feucht. He is the founder of Let Us Worship, and today we're talking about how Christians can really embrace their values and more about the mission of your organization. Sean, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, what an honor. Great to be with you guys. Thank you.
Of course. So can you tell us a little more about Let Us Worship and what you guys are seeking to accomplish?
Yeah, so Let Us Worship was started, it really kind of was an accident, to be honest. It was started as a petition during the pandemic mainly for churches in California and New York. I live in California, and so our state totally shut down. Casinos were open, strip clubs were open, marijuana dispensaries were open, and we were told the church had to close. Church was non-essential. And the same thing in New York. And so it was a petition that we circulated for pastors and Christians in those states to stand up and say, no, we're not going to tolerate this. The church is essential. Now, more than any time, we should be open. And then the petition grew into a movement, and we started our first ever event on the Golden Gate Bridge in July of 2020. And man, it just exploded from there. 400 people on the Golden Gate Bridge in the height of the pandemic. And it just began to grow all across America. Now here we are 160 cities later.
That's awesome. And how do you decide which cities you want to travel to?
Well, initially, I think we were looking for really, I feel like the call in all believers is to bring light in the darkness. So we were looking at a lot of cities of turmoil. God sent us into Portland, into Seattle, into the Chop Zone, into Chicago, Southside Chicago, New York City. And then, of course, D.C., is always our grand finale of the year. But, we really feel called to, a lot of times, bring worship into the really blue, horribly run often cities of crime and confusion to really bring light and hope.
Mm-hmm. And like you mentioned, during COVID-19, churches were largely shut down. Can you talk about the struggles that Christians faced, and what have you noticed since then?
Yeah, I think Christians had to grapple with the reality is do the sermons we preach and the songs that we sing, are they real? Like, do they really mean something to us? Is in the face of fear, in the face of persecution, in the face of tyrannical governments trying to shut us down, are we going to comply, or are we going to be like the book of Acts, where Peter and Paul and the disciples refused to bow, and it's not even political. I tell people it's actually biblical. We have a biblical mandate, especially in times of darkness and hopelessness, to be the light, to be the salt on the earth. So.
And my final question for you, what advice would you give to conservative students who are, they're going to college for the first time, they're away from their parents, their home, they're in a secular environment. How can they maintain their faith?
I think it's really, really important to find community of people that love God. I think, I went to college, and it's always weird, when you leave to go to college and you leave the safety, you leave your youth group, you leave your community plugged into it. And I just encourage people, find like-hearted people that love God, and connect with them and do life with them, worship together, go to church together. I think a lot of it has to do with your core friendships. And as long as you protect that, I think you're going to be all right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.